Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I welcome Mr. Rituraj Sharma, and he will talk about a better framework for agribusiness. I now request the speaker to begin. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, hello everyone. Yeah, so I would like to speak about agriculture, agribusiness, and farming. Okay, I'm having a presentation to share. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, it was visible.
Yes, now it
Yeah,
may
yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let us take this topic in a way that what you understand by this agribusiness. What is the business like? As the word business is associated with it. Previously, it was known always as agriculture. Now the new terminologies are being added to it. Like you can notice agri-tech, agribusiness, agripreneurs. Okay, so these are the people who are being created in the agri ecosystem now. Traditional farming was always an isolated effort. Okay, you can think of it like this. uh, all the farmers are like freelancers. What I mean by that is every freelancer works every day to find new work to get his income generated by one or the other gig works and all. Okay, he's always struggling to do business development and all. Okay, although they are very skilled, they know what to do, how to do. They are like, um, they have the know how to do the work in the best way possible. Okay, but still they struggle to get a business running, and they get to struggle to get the income generated out of it. This is very similar to traditional farmers. Okay, so they are skilled. They have gained their skill by way of three methods: maybe by learning and educating, maybe by getting trained at Krishi Vigyan Kendra. Okay, maybe they got it through his generation. Maybe his father taught him, maybe the his grandfather taught him, okay, over a particular crop. But it is always an isolated effort. He will always struggle to make his ends meet over his farm, because he's treating farming as a small work process or a task. Okay, it has to be created in the format of a agribusiness. When we talk about agribusiness, it is an integrated ecosystem. So when we use the word agribusiness in our mind, it comprises of multiple things, out of which the most important ones are, or you can say it comprises of like there are like six parts to it, that how the ecosystem and the agribusiness thing will build up. The first and foremost thing is land. Okay, there is land over which the farming of a particular crop will be done. Okay, from land you will decide that how far is the market, what is the operational hassles which will be there over that land, what kind of soil is there on the land, what kind of infrastructure is over the land, what kind of resources are there over the land. Okay, what is the quality of water over the land. On that basis, the farming is decided. That's the first part, that is land. The second comes the operations. What I mean by operations is, do you have a team or laborers or people to work over that farm? That is part and parcel of the operation. The second aspect of operations is the procurement of inputs, availability of seeds, availability of machinery and resources over the land from the particular vicinity. Suppose in a particular over a particular land you decided to grow strawberries, but you were not able to find rotavator for doing the land preparation. Maybe the bed maker was not there. Okay, so you need to use labors for preparing those beds, but were the labor available easily in your area? Okay, that's an part and parcel of the operations. And the third important part comes is capital, which I believe most of the people have the notion that the farmers are struggling to gain capital. But the point is, capital can be gained, only the cost of capital is in the question. Okay, there are higher chances, there is the particular norm going on wherein most of the farmers struggle to get easy access to capital. Even if they get access to capital, the cost of capital is like really high. It is more than 20% per annum. Okay, which becomes a hindrance for the farmers. Capital can be attained when we think from a business perspective. Suppose you are doing contract farming and you know that your all the crops will get sold. Okay, so you can attain advance, take loans from NBFCs or a better startup ecosystem. Then there comes tech, the IoTs, the satellite mapping, everything there. The people at the central level. What I'm talking about, the people at the central level means who will take care of the data, analytics, and everything. Now comes the other important part, is the revenue part of it. That where your crops will get sold. Only if the crop gets sold, all the ecosystem particulars or the parameters make sense to you. If the crop is not getting sold, what is the point of having land? What is the point of deploying capital? What is the point of doing operations over the land? So farming is not just cultivation, it's a proper ecosystem which needs to be run and deployed in the most executable and the format there. So as I've already discussed about the stacks which are being deployed there for running an agriculture business, so these are the points. Let us talk again about the land. The land stack means, we have talked already about the land, how these stacks or the resources or these particular stacks can be generated for creating agribusiness. Land can be procured if it is owned by you. Maybe you can lease it. Maybe there can be community MOUs. Example, suppose there is a FPO, there are 300 farmers in it. There is 1,000 acre of land area which is being distributed among those 1,300 farmers. It can also be acquired or aggregated through that MOU. Size of the land is also an important factor. Suppose the size of the land is very small, then it should be aggregated so as to reduce, or you can say make economical sense over it. The economy of scale will play a very important role in getting profitability out of those farm projects. Then comes the operation stack. End to end, from nursery to post harvest, you will have n number of operational tasks over the farm project, which will be designed and executed by the right people. Like the agronomist will get let you know that what kind of variety of seeds you should be using, what kind of inputs you should be using, how the nursery should be developed, how the harvesting has to be done, when the inputs are to be done, are these to be done through spray or maybe drenching, what kind of process has to be used. That's how the operational stack will work around. Then there comes the capital stack. You should know that what are the finances you are deploying over that particular land area. If you're not aware of your finances, then it becomes a very problematic situation, um, that the economics are not known to you. Okay, farmers are not good economists. Okay, but they have to be good businessmen. They have that entrepreneur mindset and the knack of doing agribusiness there, but they are not aware of it. But if you are uh, if you are good in managing your finances, this will work. So the arrangement of capital is to be done on the basis of what kind of crop you are using or you are growing, where the crop will get sold, and that's how the things will work on it. Then comes the tech stack. By tech, most of the people think that there will be a hardcore software which we'll be using. There may be IoT sensor. It is not like this. I'm talking about very simple tech systems, maybe a Excel, maybe a noting down of all the works which you are doing in a format of a booklet. Then you can use the data which you have noted down to be input into a Excel format or a Google Sheet format, where you can track down where in your budget was mostly consumed, that आपने लेबर पे कितना पैसा खर्च किया, operations पे कितना खर्च किया, inputs पे कितना खर्च किया. You will get to know about that, what where in your expenses went along. Then is the people stack. Workforce as a structure layer. So you should be keeping some permanent labor, some temporary labor. There should be a field officer. There should be agronomist deployed over your farm, maybe on consultancy basis, maybe on a salary basis. But these are very important aspects of a agri business. Okay. And there comes the revenue stack. You should know from where your revenues are coming. Are you making those revenues selling into mandi markets, or are you getting farm gate sales through contract farming, or maybe um, uh, at pre-decided prices. Maybe you can have certain value addition mechanisms over the farm itself, like drying of chili, making powder out of it, maybe making powder out of turmeric. Okay, that kind of value addition can also be done there. Maybe creating jaggery out of sugarcane, right? That can also be a one of the value addition aspect of it. Then there comes the support stack, the legal, training, insurance of the crops. Okay, you should know that what you are going through as a business. When you use the word business, all these kind of support stack is required. Okay, otherwise what will happen is, you might be losing out on one or the other compliance or the regulations there, which you would not want to do by like creating agribusiness there. um, Suppose you are entering into a contract with a large MNC, they would send you the contract draft to you, and if you're not able to understand it well, you might be in a weaker position. You should always have that support from a legal team or a person who knows legal stuff, who can read the contract on your behalf and suggest you the better ways and suggest you to amend the clauses. and then only you should sign that contract. That's how. Training, you can get your training over the new technologies, over the new varieties of seeds, over integrated pest management, over nutrient management. Such kind of trainings are to be done to keep up the game, and to be always well versed with the current happenings going around you. That's how it is. Insurance is one of the support stack, because when you are taking that kind of risk by doing agribusiness is a risky thing. If your crops and the business is insured, it is better for you. Okay, so that's the full stack approach there for doing that business. Now, when you think about any business, okay, farming is not considered as a business by most of the people, but what happens is, um, it is associated with a brand name. Okay, it is associated with your goodwill. Okay, so how a goodwill is being created? A goodwill gets created only when repeatable good sense is being created for that particular business. A business has to do good for three stakeholders. One is the customers, the second one is the employees or the people who are working for you, third one are the vendors from whom you are purchasing or doing back end business with them, like purchase of seeds, fertilizer, taking machinery, or whom you need to pay. Okay, if these three people are talking good about you, you are creating a brand name for your business. Okay, so it should be certified, repeatable, it is a trust based system. Okay, it has to be created. If your employees or the laborers are talking good about your farm project, you will never face any problem to get labor on your farms. If the vendors are talking good about you, you might get discounts, you might get credit from those vendors. Okay, if the customers are talking good about you, then you will fetch good prices. You will never find difficulty in generating revenues in your farm business. Okay, so that's how. Each farm should be documented and standardized. Okay, so there is a lack of SOPs. Okay, no two farmers will be doing or growing the crop in the same way possible. One will say, I've learned it from Krashi Vigyan Kendra, the other will say, I've learned it from my grandfather. Okay, so that should not be the way. It has to be standardized. There should be a certification over it. Okay, so it's like my farms runs the Zetta farm process. Let's say it like this. Okay, so you can take it from this. You can. We have been running farms from over like more than 13,000 acres there, all across India. Okay, and what we have observed is, when we have standard operating processes, it gives us an ease to expand and scale. Okay, it becomes easier for us to manage things at a centralized level. You should be knowing that when you talk in some sort of a standard, like suppose you have a 10-acre farm and you divide it into 1-acre plots. So when you talk about those standards, that on the first plot what has happened, you know the reporting, you have the information, this becomes easier for you to track and analyze the things which are going on your farm. That is what is meant by the standard things and the uniformity all across your farms. Okay, then you can think of it like this. It's an operating system. Building an agribusiness operating system, this might be very difficult for some people to perceive, but it's kind of an in-house software for dashboard alerts and getting the finances in track. Okay, as I was explaining to you earlier, that you can use a simple Excel wherein you feed all the data and you get a dashboard of your farms. um, when you see that dashboard, you should know what has happened on my farm till date and what was planned. Okay, so let's say on first day you plant, then in the next 70 days I will be doing this activity. The deadlines for these activities are this, and when the dashboard is being seen, you can see that for some task the deadline was breached, or for some task the cost was increased, or for some task you have like done it under budget. Okay, and alerts can also be generated. Like suppose the deadline, like you can take for easy example, suppose you are taking a loan from a bank, you get EMI notification that on the such and such date your EMI will be deducted, please ready with the balance in your bank accounts. Okay, so that's how the dashboard plays a very important role in your agri-business modeling. Okay, so you can think of it like this, an ecosystem or the operating system for your thing. It's a digital twin of your farm. Okay, what is happening on ground, you can see it in your dashboards. Okay, this has to be there for perceiving the agribusiness in your mind. Otherwise it will always be like sab hawa mein ho raha hai, right? It should not be like this. This will also be acting as a plug and play model for your scale. Suppose now you are having 10 acres and you are seeing a dashboard for it, and you have understood it, that how to perceive how what you want to see from your dashboard. You can easily scale it, okay, to next 20 acres, 30 acres, because the dashboard will remain same, right? In the same way, like dashboard, like most of the people can easily related with your maybe the trading market. You're doing trading, and you can see your dashboard, how much money you invested there, or maybe your mutual fund, or maybe your FDs. Okay, you can see that how much money you invested there, what kind of returns you are getting. It is shown on your dashboard. Okay, this is how the things can be worked around in the agribusiness. Designing with scale in mind, that's a very important psychological impact you can perceive in your own things. When you talk in terms of very small size of the farms, it is very difficult to grow. Okay, when you think of a scalable system or a scalable model, okay, then only you will get the right kind of parameters in your mind, that I should be noting this down, how the people will be deployed over my farm, how will I be able to manage the people over my farm, how the technology integration will be done over my farm. That can only be done at a scale. Okay, you can break down into different modules and silos. Okay, why this scale will matter is when the location will change. uh, Best example which I give to everyone is, banks are a scalable model. Okay, you must be seeing bank branches in every district, every corner of the city. Okay, but their head office is in Mumbai. How they are operating? But they have that branches. So you can think of it like that. You have farm modules everywhere. All the reporting and everything is coming from a farm module to that particular main branch. Then the information is going to the head branch. Okay, that's how the things are there. कोर सिस्टम इज नॉट चेंजिंग ऑन एनी फार्म. एक फार्म पे होगा क्या, फार्मिंग ऑपरेशन ही तो होंगे, कुछ अलग तो नहीं होगा. क्रॉप्स बदलती जाएंगी. क्रॉप्स को आप ऐसे ले सकते हो, किसी बैंक के अंदर एफडीज ज्यादा बिक रही हैं, किसी बैंक के अंदर इंश्योरेंस ज्यादा बिक रहा है, किसी बैंक के अंदर सैलरी अकाउंट ज्यादा होंगे. सो लाइक दैट्स हाउ द सिस्टम वर्क. बट द कोर सिस्टम विल रिमेन सेम, दैट द वर्क ऑफ फार्मिंग इज बीइंग डन ओवर माय farms. Okay, that's how you are building that agri infrastructure. You know where your what kind of produce is coming from what area, and you can utilize that information by creating the right infrastructure and the value addition infrastructure in place. Like there can be a, like you can think of it from this line: invest in 1000 acres or 100 farms or of 10 acres. Okay, so that's, now you have like 100 farms of 10 acre each, or maybe 10 farms of 100 acre each, but in total you have 1000 acres. 1000 acres is a big number to do farming. Right. Agribusiness as nation building. Uh, I think most of the people are aware of that the GDP contribution from agriculture is around 17% right now, which is huge. And more than 50% of the population, directly or indirectly, is involved with the agriculture industry. Now, if most of the people consider this as a business, give it that give it that dignity and give it that respect, okay, then it will be easier for the industry to grow. People are more inclined toward, let me get educated and get a job in a bank, get a job in IT industry. Why not get the job in the agriculture industry? Right, there are education, there are degrees, there are certification in education in agriculture as well. Okay, so you can get these, uh, you can think from that aspect also, that agribusiness can be a glamorous thing. It can also give you all those perks and benefits and the income which other industries are also giving. It is the biggest employer, but it's the most fragile sector. As I've already told, 50% of the population is associated with this. When you think from a nation building perspective, we have come up with a model like, we are having Krashi hubs in each of the villages. Like approximately there are like 1.7 lakh villages in India. Okay, if each of the villages having that Krashi hub and the network is being created, okay, all the people can be benefited out of it. The person who is running this hub in that particular village will get benefited out of it. He will know that what is happening in my area, what kind of produce I'm going to sell, how will I earn, how the community will earn. Okay, that's how the systems will be working around the farms. Okay, you can think it's a tightly knitted system, but it was well not organized, it was not optimized. That was the thing, how it was being worked around. But the tradition has to change. Okay, it cannot be changed by being in the system. You should come out of the system, redesign it, and then can be deployed in a very new way. It has to be a different turnaround itself, then only it can work as an agribusiness. Otherwise it will always be a different single farm for everyone. um, I can like close down this session with certain question and answers, but I think if you have certain questions, I'm having certain questions to you to ponder upon. Like if you have certain What you think are the biggest myths about scaling farms, right? People feel a lot of money is required. That's true, but the lot of money can be arranged if you have already proven your business model over a small scale. Suppose your 10-acre farm project or a farm business is working good. Okay, it will definitely earn, like it will definitely open up uh, opportunities for you, that you can get loans from NBFCs or banks to scale up your farms. Okay, how do you handle land risk? As we have already talked about insurances, right? You can also handle land risk through diversification. You should be growing different kind of crops over that particular land, or maybe same kind of crops in different locations, so that you get to handle the risk about the weather and market price fluctuations as well. Role of young entrepreneurs. What should be the role of young entrepreneurs, right? People should think of it as a good agri business opportunity. Then only the entrepreneurs will get benefit out of it. It is not always about software or technology. It can always be some kind of boring businesses which will make more money. One of the boring businesses which particularly I like is agriculture. Okay, this will definitely make you like more money out of it. In terms of ROIs, agriculture is the best business opportunity which you have. You put in like 8,000 rupees over for growing millets per millet there, and you get to sell it for like 15,000 rupees. It's like approximately doubling your money in like 6 months or so for growing just per millets, which is very easy to grow. How to stay profitable without burning capital? For that, the correct step would be just to know first that what kind of investment or the finances you are going through. Okay, what kind of expenses you are making on the farm. If you're not tracking your finances, it will be very difficult to track profitability. Okay, burning capital के अंदर one of the important point comes on the logistics and the distribution. Okay, which is a very difficult aspect for a farmer to understand and manage it well. Okay, you need to take help from external agencies for those things, and that should be aggregated through at a village level. Then only the cost will come down. Okay, so from my side, this was the presentation over this thing. I was hoping that there should be certain question and answers, but this is how the agriculture framework should have been created.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful presentation. I will take up the questions now. In the meantime, can you please stop sharing the screen, sir, so that
Yes, sure, sure.
we can see your full video? Yeah. I'll move on to the questions, sir. How should India's current agribusiness model evolve to balance productivity, sustainability, and farmer profitability, sir?
So as I already mentioned in the stacks which I was explaining. Okay, so the balance of profitability, the working and all these things can be worked around if the stacks are working in sync with all the parts, right? So you know that what your land can grow, you know how many people can be deployed over it, you know what kind of expenses will be coming out like will be like incurred over that particular land there. Okay, that's how the profitability can be tracked. If you are also aware of the market where you want to sell, okay, then then the whole ecosystem fits in. Okay, that's how you can track and balance it, the profitability, the team, and the working over it.
Okay. What policy reforms are most urgent to create a supportive ecosystem for agribusiness entrepreneurs?
mm, I might not be the right person to comment over the policies, because I feel the policies which are being created are very good in nature, but maybe the implementation of those policies have a gap in it. Okay, the gaps are because of multiple reasons, because of the understanding gap at the farmer level, because of the rolling down of the policies at the ground level. These might be the gaps, because when you read the policies, these are really good in nature for if the farmer is also aligned, or if the agri ecosystem is also aligned over those policies. If it gets worked out at the 100% efficiency level, there's like nothing wrong with it.
Okay. How can digital tools and agri-tech startups be integrated more effectively into the agribusiness value chain?
For the digital things, as I already mentioned, that you should be starting as simple as possible by like just entering the expenses, just entering the tasks which you are doing into an Excel. Okay, then you can utilize farm ERP softwares, maybe the expense tracking softwares and all. We can do that part. Okay, that's how, that will be the start for it. That's how the digital tools will be implemented. Then there are certain tools which are complex in nature, like suppose an IoT sensor is there with you and you are doing satellite mapping of your farms. Then that data can just be fetched. You don't need to create that, how the linkage with the satellite will be done, how the IoT sensor will be operating. You can just buy a IoT sensor and like it's a plug and play model, like how you purchase a phone and like just start calling, like that. It is as simple as this.
Okay. What are the biggest barriers to the adoption of modern technology by small and marginal farmers?
I think there are two barriers. The first is understanding gap, because people don't understand how the technology works. The second important barrier is money and the cost involved with the modern technologies. Okay, although government is trying their best to incorporate subsidies with the technology, but it has not been incorporated with all the technologies available throughout the market.
Okay. What financial models do you think work best for scaling agribusiness in rural areas?
uh, Aggregation of multiple farmers for growing a single crop over a vast land, so that this can be acting as a good financial model, because you can get contracts over it, you can get advance for growing a particular crop. That's how that modeling can work around.
Okay. How can we build a stronger cold chain and logistics networks to reduce post-harvest losses?
That's an interesting thing. Nowadays, there are certain startups who have come up with like smaller cold storages, smaller warehouses, which can be acting as that, which can be like be part of a hub and spoke distribution model all across the villages. If those kind of smaller warehouses and cold chains are being created in a at a village level itself, it will be very beneficial and helpful for the farmers.
Okay. What inspired you to start Zetta Farms, and how has your journey shaped your understanding of the Indian agribusiness ecosystem?
I don't know. I've given like too much time in it. Now I feel that I cannot be separated from it, and my thinking is also not getting separated from this. I started as like I was working in the solar industry, wherein like we were putting in solar projects over lands which were like not at all usable. Then I thought that why the land is not usable. That's how the story goes through. Then I saw that there is a good potential in terms of return on investment. There are good potential in terms of yield. So there was a lot of gaps also, which I thought that I can be the one who can like plug those gaps. That's how I started this journey.
Okay, that's very interesting, sir. What key challenges did you face while building Zetta Farms, and how did you overcome them?
Multiple challenges, multiple. See, I don't come from an agriculture background. I'm a finance marketing graduate. So when I started, I've seen that phase wherein the people who were working for us, they said to me or gave this dialogue to me कि भैया आपकी उम्र जितनी नहीं है उससे ज़्यादा से हम खेती कर रहे हैं. You are like a uh, you are like a young chap who doesn't know farming. You cannot teach us. From that phase, now I'm into a different genre wherein I'm like working upon myself to understand the new technologies and deployment of those technologies over the ground. Okay. The challenge of labor was also there, which we solved by giving different kind of perks to those people who can work on our farm. The challenge of employment was also there. Okay, which we again solved it to different mechanisms, like giving education benefits to the people who are working for us, giving pilgrimage benefits to their parents who are working for us, maybe bonus benefits and all. Because what was happening is the glamour was missing in farming. People would like to work in a IT company, but not in an agriculture company. So that's how we solve these. There are multiple. There can be n number of stories over that part, right? But these were the key challenges: the people and the technology deployment there.
Okay, how is Zetta Farms using technology or data to improve crop yields, quality, or market access?
Perfect. So this is a very controversial from my statement. I'm not using Zeta Farms to improve quality, yield, or market. I'm using Zeta Farms just to track and monitor what is going on in my farms. And okay, why I'm saying this thing? Because see, there are certain things which are not in your control. It's a natural process. Okay, weather and market prices are two things which nobody can control. Yield is a function of good inputs which can be given to the farm. So now you can notice your function was, or your role was, to give good inputs. But it cannot always result in the best yield possible, best product possible. Okay, you can think of it like that, like humans also. Like, you cannot predict how the baby will become when he grows old. Okay, you cannot predict even how the face of the baby will be there. Okay, will he look like his mother or father, or maybe his grandfather, or maybe his uncles, right? Because it's a family. Okay, you cannot know it. But what you can do is, you can give him good education, you can give him good food, you can give him good manners, good learnings. Okay, okay, that's how the things work. That's how the plant life also works. So how we are using technology is, we are using technology for tracking a multi-purpose. Now, how we are like, there are five aspects to it. One is physical forms we are tracking, we are getting information out of it. We are also using satellite imagery, drone spraying, drone based analytics. Then there are IoT based analytics. Okay, but I'm not saying that on all the Zetta farms this needs to be deployed, but at some part or other, different kind of technology frameworks are being utilized to gather and capture data. Then the second aspect of the technology is analytics. Using those data and information which we are getting, we are using uh, designing analytics over that, so that we can make use of that analytics to get the right market access, to get the right market prices in some particular area. Because I cannot control it, I can just find out wherein the best market price is being coming from. That's how we are utilizing these technologies there.
Okay. What scalable tech-based solution do you think are most impactful for small and marginal farmers?
uh, Let us not go for tech first is the aggregation of land. That's the first and foremost step to scale things. When you get lands at scale, any kind of technology can be deployed over it. It will be very difficult for a smallholder farmer, 2 acres or 3 acres, to deploy a IoT sensor over his farm, because it will be very costly for him. Money is a concern there. Okay, but if the lands are of 1,000 acres, it will be easier for us to deploy those technologies. That's only one example. First, scalability is aggregation of lands.
Okay. In the face of increasing climate variability, what should be the priority in agribusiness planning and investment?
Right. So again, in terms of this climate uh, uh, variability and all, you should be going for diversification. You should be growing, let's say, two or three different crops on your field at the same time, because the effect of weather will not be unfavorable on all the crops at the same time. The crops will also have different life cycle and different harvest cycles. Maybe one of the crop is of a single harvest, like paddy or wheat. Okay, there are crops which have multiple harvest cycles, like tomatoes, chilies, which are like harvested on like daily basis. That's how the crop selection should be done there. And the climate variations can also be hedged over it, like by diversification of crops.
Okay. How can young entrepreneurs be encouraged to enter agriculture and agribusiness?
By showing them the potential of the business, potential of the industry. It is already a more than $350 billion industry of fresh produce only in India. Okay, that's a huge market size for any industry.
Okay. How can agribusiness support farmers beyond procurement, such as through training, input support, and value addition?
I don't know why farmers are not getting supported by the agri businesses there. From our side, our role is we can support them not only by training, but also giving them opportunities by of sustainable income at a monthly level. What most of the agri businesses think is that the crop cycle of 6 months, why to employ this farmer for 6 months? Okay, but it has to be a longer term game. Okay, long run business. Okay, that's how the agri businesses can support them, not only in terms of training, but also giving them job opportunities, also giving them sustainable income sources, plus also giving them an opportunity to aggregate their land on a single whole platform.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we like to thank Mr. Rituraj Sharma for the talk and for answering the questions. This meeting is now be closed.
Thank you very much for
You're
having me
most
here.
welcome, sir.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.